Hurricane season is upon us again, and this year, Hurricane Milton has emerged as a terrifying force of nature. This isn't just another storm, this is a monster, a Category 3 hurricane bearing down on Florida with relentless fury. The updates are coming in fast and furious, each one more alarming than the last. Milton is churning towards the coast, packing winds of over 120 miles per hour. The storm surge is predicted to be catastrophic. The potential for destruction is immense. This is a time for vigilance. This is a time for preparation. This is a time for Floridians to come together and face this challenge head-on. The National Hurricane Center is sounding the alarm. Evacuation orders are in place for coastal communities. Residents are boarding up their homes, gathering supplies, and seeking higher ground. The tension is palpable. The air is thick with anticipation and dread. But amidst the fear, there's also a sense of resolve. Floridians are no strangers to hurricanes. They've weathered these storms before. They know what's at stake. They know how to survive. Hurricane Milton slammed into Florida's Gulf Coast with terrifying force. The storm surge, a towering wall of water, swallowed entire coastal communities. Homes were ripped from their foundations, businesses reduced to rubble. From St. Petersburg to St. Lucie County, Milton left a trail of destruction in its wake. Tampa Bay witnessed unprecedented flooding. The iconic Tropicana Field, home of the Tampa Bay Rays, was severely damaged. Airports were forced to shut down, stranding travelers and disrupting air traffic. The storm's impact was felt far and wide. Inland communities were battered by torrential rains and powerful winds. Rivers and canals overflowed, transforming streets into raging torrents. Trees were uprooted, power lines snapped. The once familiar landscape was now a scene of chaos and devastation. The storm's fury was relentless. It seemed as if nature itself was unleashing its wrath upon the Sunshine State. As the storm subsided, the true extent of Milton's devastation became horrifyingly clear. The death toll began to rise. Search and rescue teams worked tirelessly, combing through the wreckage, hoping to find survivors. The confirmed death toll reached a heart-wrenching 14, and the number was expected to climb. Hospitals, overwhelmed with the injured, struggled to cope with the influx of patients. The storm plunged millions into darkness. Nearly 3 million homes and businesses were left without power. The electrical grid, crippled by Milton's onslaught, struggled to recover. The lack of power had a cascading effect, disrupting essential services. Hospitals relied on backup generators, their resources stretched thin. Water treatment plants struggled to function, raising concerns about sanitation and public health. The lack of air conditioning and the sweltering heat added to the misery. In the aftermath of Hurricane Milton, a massive rescue operation was underway. First responders, working around the clock, braved treacherous conditions to reach those stranded by the storm. They navigated flooded streets, cleared debris, and provided medical aid. The Coast Guard deployed helicopters to airlift survivors from rooftops in flooded areas. The National Guard was activated, assisting with search and rescue efforts and maintaining order. The storm inflicted catastrophic damage to Florida's infrastructure. Major roads and bridges were washed away or rendered impassable. Airports remained closed, cutting off access to affected areas. The disruption to transportation networks hampered rescue efforts and made it challenging to deliver essential supplies. The damage to communication systems left many people isolated and unable to contact loved ones. Section 5. Picking up the pieces, aftermath, and the long road to recovery. As the floodwaters receded, the true scale of the devastation became appallingly clear. The once vibrant communities now lay in ruins. Homes were reduced to rubble, businesses destroyed, and lives upended. The air was thick with the stench of rotting debris and the sound of generators humming. The psychological toll of the storm was immeasurable. Families grappled with loss, displacement, and the daunting task of rebuilding their lives. The recovery process was slow and arduous. Debris removal was a monumental task. Insurance adjusters descended upon the affected areas, assessing the damage. Construction crews worked tirelessly to repair damaged homes and businesses. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, set up disaster relief centers providing shelter, food, water, and other essential supplies to those in need. Section 6. Echoes of the Past. Milton's place in hurricane history. Hurricane Milton will forever be etched in the annals of history as one of the most devastating storms to ever strike Florida. Its intensity and destructive power drew comparisons to other catastrophic hurricanes, such as Andrew, Katrina, and Michael. These storms serve as stark reminders of the awesome power of nature and the importance of preparedness and resilience. While each hurricane is unique in its path and impact, the comparisons highlight the growing threat posed by increasingly powerful storms. The frequency and intensity of hurricanes are increasing, raising concerns about the ability of communities to cope with such events. The lessons learned from past hurricanes, including the importance of early warning systems, evacuation plans, and disaster preparedness, will be crucial in mitigating the impact of future storms. Section 7. A warming world, a rising tide, climate change, and the fury of hurricanes. The intensification of hurricanes like Milton is not a coincidence, it is a direct consequence of climate change. As global temperatures rise, so too does the temperature of our oceans. Warmer ocean water provides more fuel for hurricanes, leading to more intense storms with higher wind speeds, heavier rainfall, and greater storm surge. Climate change is also contributing to rising sea levels, which exacerbates the impact of storm surge. Higher sea levels mean that storm surge can penetrate further inland, causing more extensive flooding. The scientific evidence is irrefutable. Climate change is real, it is human-caused, and it is making hurricanes more dangerous. Section 8. The indomitable spirit, community resilience in the face of disaster. In the face of unimaginable devastation, the people of Florida demonstrated remarkable resilience and compassion. Neighbors helped neighbors, volunteers flocked to affected areas, and donations poured in from across the country. The spirit of community shone brightly amidst the wreckage. Strangers opened their homes to those who had lost everything. Community organizations mobilized to provide food, shelter, and emotional support. First responders worked tirelessly, putting their own lives at risk to save others. The outpouring of support was a testament to the inherent goodness of humanity. Section 9. A helping hand, federal and local response to Hurricane Milton. The federal government responded swiftly to the disaster, providing much-needed aid and assistance. President Biden declared a major disaster for the state of Florida, freeing up federal funds for recovery efforts. FEMA deployed thousands of personnel to the affected areas, setting up disaster relief centers and providing assistance with housing, food, and medical care. The IRS expedited tax relief for those affected by the storm. The Small Business Administration offered low-interest loans to help businesses get back on their feet. The Department of Housing and Urban Development provided assistance with housing repairs and temporary housing. The coordinated response from all levels of government was crucial in providing timely and effective assistance to those in need. Section 10. Preparing for the storm, a guide to hurricane safety and preparedness. Hurricanes are a fact of life for those living in hurricane-prone areas. While we cannot prevent these storms, we can take steps to prepare for them and mitigate their impact. Hurricane preparedness is essential for everyone, and it can mean the difference between life and death. Here are some essential hurricane preparedness tips. Develop a family emergency plan. Establish a communication plan with family members and designate a meeting place in case you are separated. Assemble a disaster supply kit. This should include water, non-perishable food, a first aid kit, batteries, a flashlight, a weather radio, and important documents. Know your evacuation route. If you live in a coastal area, know your evacuation route and have a plan for where you will go if ordered to evacuate. Secure your property. Bring loose objects indoors, trim trees and shrubs, and board up windows. Stay informed. Monitor weather reports and heed all warnings and advisories from local officials. Section 11. A call to action, confronting the growing threat of climate change. Hurricane Milton is a stark reminder of the growing threat of climate change. We can no longer afford to ignore the science or delay action. The time for bold and decisive action is now. We must transition away from fossil fuels and invest in renewable energy sources. We must reduce our carbon footprint and protect our natural environments. The future of our planet, our communities, and our children and grandchildren depends on the choices we make today. Let us heed the lessons of Hurricane Milton and work together to create a more sustainable and resilient future for all. Let us demand action from our leaders and hold them accountable for their decisions. The time for complacency is over. The time for action is now.